Welcome to my humble abode. I'm Yorkie the Talespinner, and this is Tales Over Coffee, morning show where we welcome the day together with a cup of coffee and a narrative tale in order to hopefully welcome a blessed day. And this is Suzerain, the continuing tale of Anton Rain's presidency largely failed of Sordland. Let's continue. Revelations. This chapter should be ending soon, I think. Right, so we have 5 news articles. Rumburg infiltrated Maroon Palace, President's Secretary arrested. Breaking news from the Maroon Palace, President's Secretary Livia Suno has been revealed to be a spy from Rumburg. More details are forthcoming, but it appears the agent, whose real name is not yet known. Oh, we've seen that. Time to smoke less, we know that. President Secretary arrested, know that. Albin Clavin is the Vice President, yes, we know that. Queen Beatrice demands reparations for centuries-old alleged war crimes. You're an idiot. You're really just ramping up to war, we know this. Report from Holsword. Protest at Capitol Park. A group of individuals associated with the Labour Union of Sordland have started a protest in Capitol Park. So far the rally was largely peaceful. However, we have detected a possibility that this protest group might be infiltrated by vandals. The area has been cordoned off. Increasing unrest among populace. A briefing thereon. It seems that might be all we have available right now. The international airport is proceeding well. Lilias entered my office and took a seat. She was frowning intensely. She didn't talk at first, just fixed me with a steady gaze. When she did speak, it was in strained tones. Mr. President, we have a problem. Go on. This just came in. Here, take a look. Take a look at the report. I took the document from her hand and started reading it. The report was titled Protests in Major Cities. I looked up immediately after reading the title. Lilias gave a grim nod of confirmation. Protests have been erupting all over Sordland. They are protesting you, Mr. President. They are asking you for your resignation. I can't say this is unexpected. What is unexpected, however, is the sheer size of the protests and level of violence. Some people have been killed already. Sordland hasn't seen this much unrest since the death of Bernard and Circus. We can't let the tensions rise to that level again. We are on it. Carl Greaser is on his way here right now. He will tell us what he knows so far. Just then there was a loud knock at the door. Carl came in. Without waiting for an answer, he was clearly out of breath. Ah, there he is. He saluted me. Status report. Miss President, I'm so sorry for being late. Carl, I already informed the President of the situation, said Lilias. Do you have any updates? As you know, said Carl, protests have been organised in major cities like Holsword, Lochhaven, Dyer and many more. Thankfully, the demonstrations have been successfully suppressed for the time being. Although I do believe we would have had an easier time dealing with them if we had additional riot gear. 2 civilians and 2 policemen were killed due to a firebomb thrown by protesters. Aside from that small incident, the situation is mostly under our control. We currently have 27 protesters in custody. Among the detainees we have found Red Youth members. The main rhetoric they all shared is that they are demanding the President's resignation. If a president resigned, whenever someone protests against him, there'd be no presidents. Well said, said Lilias. What does the protester profile look like? We have investigated the various groups involved in the protest and compiled a list of their complaints. I will go through it. He pulled out a document from the folder he was carrying. The majority of the protests are about the state of the economy. Understood. Thanks to the media, we are under fire for showing support at the Anschaf anniversary. In addition, there are many provocateurs that are not tied to any specific organisation or cause. We need to take action, Mr. President, immediately, said Lilias. If the protests get even more violent than they already are, We are risking a civil war. Your orders, Mr. President. And this is why this is a failed run. Initially, when I established the character of Anton Rain, I said he was a oligarch, a dictator even. Power focused in a few hands. But and a traditionalist as well. But as I've gone through, I've found I don't like the traditions of Sordland, and I've given in to my own personal views. And I've worked more with people. This one would be Anton Rain more as he is now. This one would be more Anton Rain as he was initially. This one wouldn't be. And because of that sacrifice of that change of storyline, that failure on my part to live the narrative, I really don't care which of those two I use. I'm torn, but I'm also resigned to the fact that this can't work. So, alright, number 1. As you command, Mr. President. I can't say I condone this. People must respect the laws of this land. What you are doing right now is giving in to anarchists. You'll excuse, Mr. President, we have work to do. Good luck. I believe you'll need more luck than we do. Come on, Carl, we are leaving. Lilias hurriedly left the room. Carl bowed to me. Mr. President. He followed after her. Honestly, the economy is down even further. Great. A large expansion program presents several options to improve industrial capacity. Everything hits us badly. Minister Hall and Manger have prepared a massive industrial expansion project that could support key industries in the country through state investments. Sordland could become much more competitive and a hub for new industries with the initiative. Agriculture, automotive, electronics, military industry. Go for electronics. Huge debt now. Government dedicates investment to electronics. Sordland to invest in the future with massive push for new electronics industry that is rising in importance all around the globe. That's why I chose that one. Many companies formed by Gelsord researchers are going to be funded with government support to ensure the electronics industry in Sordland grows in its potential. Some experts even dare to say a technological revival awaits the nation after this bold move. Experts in the country who praise Arcasia and United Contana on their dedication to investment in electronics have also extended their commendations to the Rain administration for economically advocating for such measures. Will Sordland manufacture its very own radio soon? It might be possible. And if we keep this up, it puts us in position to take part in the computer revolution in a couple of decades when it comes. A decade to 2. Sign or veto the Security Act. The lack of security due to the period of social upheaval calls for drastic measures proposed by the majority of the GNA. Section 1 of the SA allows the use of force whenever deemed necessary. Section 2 orders that suspicion-based arrests and confiscations can occur without warrants. Section 3 allows security forces to use their authority beyond the legal limits that are permissible. Screw it, if you're going to uprise, I'm going to do that too. I'll hear you out. But at the same time. President of Order. The escalating security situation in the country has led to a bipartisan effort in the Assembly that led to the passing of the Security Act. President Rain has signed the bill into law to increase the security measures in the face of massive destruction surrounding the upheaval. The bill entails the necessary measures such as use of force, suspicion arrests, authority beyond limits if state, etc., etc. Praise the estimate. Okay, that's fine. They're happy with it. And then we continue on to the final chapter, I guess. Checkmate. Yes, that would seem to be the final chapter. Checkmate is the end of a game of chess. So is stalemate, of course. So is someone getting pissed off and throwing the board in the air. But that's probably not the best ending. Hegel would take all the necessary steps. In a televised address, Chancellor Emmerich Hegel claimed intensive fighting was taking place between Agnolian force and locals of Helgeland, resulting in massacres of ethnic Valgs living on the island. He portrayed the conflict as a national struggle and compared it to the independence wars of the former colonies of Riga. Hegel said Valgsland is the guarantor of Helgeland's security and will take all the necessary steps to prevent mass atrocities committed against the islanders. Van Houten said in a television interview that Valgslandians must withdraw their harassment squad from Machian Sea before any diplomatic talks take place. Alright. No news around. Sign or veto the Protect Women Act that was approved by Grand National Assembly. The Assembly, in cooperation with the Commission of the Status of Women, has come to the conclusion that the country suffers a high ratio of domestic violence cases. In light of these immoral conditions, the Parliament passes the following law. Section 1 criminalises domestic violence. Yes, we're going to do that, even though it hits our budget yet again. I'm expecting to be booted out of office any time, and I'm fine with that at this point. Residents of the President of Sordland, Holsword. It was raining as Serge dropped me off at home after yet another grueling day of work. A guard held an umbrella over my head as I walked from the car to my front door. Inside, the house was completely dark. I flipped on the light in the kitchen to find a note from Monica. Ciara had called her in for the last-minute women's rights meeting. She dropped Diana off at her friend's and left me some food for reheating. I took the pot out of the fridge. It was filled with an unidentifiable greyish-looking stew. Evidently, Monica's excellent cooking had been the first casualty of her political career. Then maybe I need to learn how to cook better myself. Reheat the stew. While it was heating up, I went to the living room to fix myself a drink. Suddenly the phone rang. I went back to the kitchen and answered it. Frank's voice was on the other end. Oh, I thought Mum would pick up. Your mother works harder than I do these days. All right, Diana's going to have a fit if she gets rid of girls' handicraft classes. There was a long silence. How's Uncle Petter doing? I haven't heard from him since the press conference. Okay, it's so messed up what he did. That whole scandal hasn't exactly helped with the protests here. Are you joining in their revolution, son? Actually, Dad, I've been taking part in some of the protests. You're my son. That puts us at risk. It's not a good look, son. But for this game, what the hell? Exercise your right to freedom of speech. You're not mad at me? No, I was a student once too, you know. I did my share of marching, placard waving. Didn't get us anywhere, but it felt good. One of the most powerful tools we had back then. Alright, I hope you'll think about what we have to say then. I suddenly became aware of a smoky smell coming from the kitchen. My dinner was burning. I have to go. Good catching up with you, Frank. Yeah, okay, bye, Dad. We both hung up. I raced to the stove and turned off the burner. The bottom of the pot was charred, but part of Mr. Stew was still salvageable. I ate alone by the flickering light of the television, wondering when Monica and Diana would get home. Lots of news. USP Conservatives tried to obstruct administration. Sources from within Grand National Assembly have informed us that the Conservative wing of the USP seemed to be intentionally obstructing President Rain's agenda. From failing to attend committee meetings to delaying bills that the President's attempt to push through, Gloria Tory and her fellow Conservatives have no apparent motive other than blocking Rain at every turn. Tory and the President are known to have clashed over the latter's constitutional reforms. Could that have prompted her vindictive attitude? And not being selected for Vice President, probably. Election campaign ramps up across Sordland. The election campaigning efforts have started to pick up speed across Sordland. To become the 5th president of Sordland, the candidates began delivering their speeches at rallies and conventions, while the party flags were flying in major cities. The campaign centres are busy with scheduling and organising events. The exciting times of election are approaching. The majority of the cities, USP appears to be the most prominent, whereas PFJP follows behind with NFP. It'll be thrilling to see the presidential race renew once the fast approaching elections. Ladies' bill struck down. Families in Sordland can breathe easier as the controversial Women's Liberation Act, proposed by Ciara Walder with blessing of First Lady Monica Rain, completely failed to act. This bill, which would have upended Swordish traditional values by forcing undue burdens on women in the name of equality, was supported by the President but struck down in the Assembly, showing Antoine Rain who wears the trousers in the government. The Jewel City will illuminate every corner of the world. The international airport is officially completed in the city of Benfey, with the city already being a tourism spot for Sordland. Oh, that's something at least. Artists, musicians, actors, tourists and many others are pouring into the jewel of Sordland, improving the economy of the Agruni region and the country. The Mayor of Benfey expressed tremendous gratitude toward the administration in his statement. With a brand new airport, the glistening light of the Jewel City will illuminate every corner of the world. It will soon eclipse cities like Faleko and Leviso of Lesbia. Protect Women Act signed. Alright, we've signed it, so what? Is it going to get shot down again? Commissioner originally pushed for sweeping new laws regulating equality among sexes in school and workforce. While these failed to pass, given the number of Conservatives in the Assembly, Protect Women's Act itself is a remarkable achievement. Ashton Salt Security Package. A non-precedented move, the Assembly has passed the Security Act into law with signature of President Rain. This marks the harshest security laws this country has seen surpassing those even of Sol's. Yes, those are unusual times and the country is discontent, but this is going too far. Alright, economists. Swordish debt causes credit downgrade and security threat. Security Act threatens economy. Alright, whatever. Private prisons increase revenue. With new private prisons running, many wealthy inmates have requested to be transferred to these prisons. We are already expecting to see a substantial amount of revenue being generated from the prisons. Police retaliation in Benfey. During the increasingly violent protest, 6 police officers were killed in Benfey. The police forces tasked in the area opened fire to retaliate. Civilians have been killed during the gunfire. The total death is at 38, while there are 21 wounded. The personnel involved in the killing have been suspended until further notification. International airport opens. We've just had a report on that in the press. Record number of female students. The proportion of female students enrolled in Sordland's education system is getting closer to half the student body, with more than 1 million enrollments recorded this year being women, the highest share on record in Sordland, according to a report by the Ministry of Education. So that is a positive aspect. Fair Trade Commission creates trade regulation. Fair Trade Commission has begun work in asserting the existing fair trade irregularity and unfairness. The first act of the Commission will be to create new trade regulations. Alright. Debt crisis shocks the economy. Yes, that's no surprise there. Police overwhelmed in remote cities. Alright. Human Dignity Bill. Sign or veto the Human Dignity Bill that was approved in the Grand National Assembly. The new proposed bill will amend Section 3 of 1923 Legal Transactions Act that allowed the legislation of transactions which occur in non-registered businesses or other entities like single persons, if the parties delivered accurate documentation to the financial authority. This creates a legal loophole for prostitution. The Human Dignity Bill will protect common decency and prevent the violation of moral principles that occur in the act of prostitution by making it an illegal offence. Which perpetrate... No. I don't believe in punishing sex workers. I don't believe it helps at all, to be honest. It doesn't stop it. If you want to stop it, you need to go after the people providing the money for it. Protect Swedish sex workers. President Rehn has vetoed the Human Dignity Bill. This bill would have seen sex work become a legal offence and punishable law. Sex workers already face high levels of discrimination. The world's oldest profession will always exist. But supporting sex workers with laws helps protect the health, safety, civil and human rights of sex workers. Thankfully, the government has made the right call. At least radical like us for something. Discussion of the current internal affairs. Can I just resign and end the run? A storm was on the horizon outside my window, and a storm of a different kind was brewing inside my office. I straightened myself on the sofa and looked at Carl. He was sitting on the couch across from me, ready to give me a report about an incident. I had just learned that a policeman gunned down an entire crowd. We stared at each other, not knowing how to react, and muscle in his jaw twitched. Sir, I know you want to establish talk to them, but these people do not understand diplomacy. It appears your police don't. Our men did their best to show restraint, but 6 officers were killed yesterday in Benfey. And you've just gunned down an entire crowd. These are not innocent citizens anymore, Miss President, they are killers, and so one of our boys had a reaction. I won't defend his action, but I will not let him be thrown under the bus either. Hundreds of rioters surrounded them, sir. There was a risk of lynching. He was authorized to carry a submachine gun. Why? And he used it. He lowered his head. I told you to establish talk to them, not shoot the entire crowd down. I'm sorry, sir, it was out of my control. I'm tempted to yell a number of these. I want everyone responsible to be tried, of course, sir. He's already dismissed from duty. I know there is no excuse for it, sir, but I will make sure nothing like this ever happens again. Good, then get to work immediately. We need to clean up this mess. Yes, sir. He stood, bowed, and left the room. Protesters' response to diplomacy. 6 officers killed in action. The government's attempt to hold talks with the leaders of the increasingly violent protests has been responded with the killing of 6 police officers. It is clear that people on the streets are aiming to destabilise our country and society if they can't even sit at the table to end this violence. After being outnumbered and attacked, the police had no choice but to strike back, resulting in the death of 18 militants disguised as protesters. We are borderline getting into territory of anarchy at this point, and anarchy can never be allowed. Oh, good God. Rich and standard rates, Sordland D-, alright. Valsland blockades Helgeland. Good grief. Everything's falling apart. Fund political youth group. No. We don't have any money. I'm not funding anything else. Fair Luxury Tax Act. Sign or veto Fair Luxury was approved by Grand National Assembly. The Assembly proposed an amendment to Section 6 of the Tax Code of 1949, the Fair Luxury Trade Act, seeks to improve the fairness of taxation system and increase revenues. Section 1 sets 15% of the tax rate will be imposed on items of luxury goods class determined by the Ministry of Economy. This encompasses jewels, furs, sports cars, yachts, private planes. Section 2 of the amendment will establish a 10% estate tax for the conditions of purchase, sale and transfer of property. Yes. Alcohol Tax Act. The GNA proposes the Alcohol Tax Act to socially deter the excessive amount of alcohol consumption that has arisen in the general population and to increase tax revenues. Section 1, yep, just like the tobacco tax. Emergency call on an escalating situation. Is there anything else going on as well? There's a report up here in Estord. Rumburg plane warned inside airspace. Yeah, they're ramping up for war. We'll be at war in no time. I was woken up in the middle of the night by a call from the Ministry of Defence. Due to the sensitivity of the information, I had to be urgently briefed in person. I put on my clothes as fast as I could. I rushed downstairs and opened the door. Serge is waiting for me. Miss President, the way to the car, please. We got into the car and made our way to the Ministry of Defence building without a word. I arrived and was directed downstairs. I came to a set of large doors and quickly read the sign above them. The sign said War Room. Told you. The dimly lit room was filled with cutting-edge equipment, the latest video screens, long-range radio electronics and other devices used for communication, presentation and planning. The centerpiece of the room was a large round table with a coat of arms of Sordland engraved on it. David, Lucian, Vulcan and Iosif were already deep in discussion. Mr. Lancia, said Lucian, I advise caution. Going to war wouldn't help anyone. We must maintain peace in Sordland and Eastern Macopa at all costs, said David. What do you expect us to do, asked Iosif? Sit down and do nothing? They are testing us. We must respond immediately, said Vulcan, otherwise they will think we are weak. What's going on? Miss President, thank you for coming in at this late hour. There is a situation. Vulcan, please go ahead and provide your report. Mr. President, approximately 20 minutes ago, Rumburg downed one of our planes with anti-aircraft fire from the ground. The pilot was declared killed in action. Why would they do that? The last recorded position of the plane was inside Swordish airspace. General Kruger, said David, I mean no offence, but are we absolutely sure that is the case? Are we sure this happened within our borders? No offence taken, said Vulcan. Here are the locations on the map and the report from the airbase. He pointed to several markers on the map. To answer your question, yes, we are absolutely sure. You can see here on the map that the plane was downed approximately 10 kilometres inside our borders. We have calculated the trajectory of the gunfire, and they started firing when our plane was within our border. The plane was down near Halgan. We do need to be cautious, but if they are attacking within our borders, that is a huge problem. Mr. President, I must insist we need to be calm. We must maintain peace, said David. I agree, they are trying to lure us into their trap. We have enough military power to contest against this violation of international law. We should attack and down one of their planes in retaliation, and that puts us immediately in a war with a more powerful nation, Yosef. Otherwise we will look weak and it will lead to more casualties. We can't look weak, said Vulcan. If we appear weak, they will jump on the opportunity. We must order military retaliation immediately. I agree with the General, said Yosef. Mr. President, our army is ready to do whatever it takes to protect Sordland. Gentlemen, said David, before it comes to that point, we can prevent further bloodshed by using diplomacy. The room fell silent before Yosef finally spoke up. Mr. President, what are your orders? That's a tough one. 1 and 2 mean we are immediately at war against Rumburg, possibly without allies. 2 might have us with Arcadia as an ally, or as a supportive non-ally. Number 1 probably wouldn't. Number 3, we're going with 3. Lucian's tensed up shoulders relaxed. Thank you, sir. I will immediately begin working on it, said David. With Mr. Whiskey's capabilities, I'm sure we will de-escalate the situation successfully. We'll keep you updated on our progress. We should have retaliated, said Yosef. I hope the diplomatic response makes sure that further incidents like this are prevented. If there is a next time, I'm afraid it will be war. If we'd acted as you said, it would have been war anyway, Yosef. We are showing weakness, said Vulcan. Of course it will be war the next time around. I'm frankly disappointed, Mr. President. If we can't even retaliate after such an attack, what will become of this country in future? Peace must be maintained at all, not all costs, David. But right now we must work politically. But this again is something that, mind you, do we have the funds to ramp up the army? I would put some budget into doing that, but it's not offering me that choice. We are not the ones that are attacking the peace. Regardless, it looks like your decision has been made, Mr. President. I know when I'm not needed. I will take my leave, said Vulcan. Before he left the room, he saluted. Well, now that we have the way forward, I have an idea, Mr. President. I think we should hold a military parade to display our strength. I'm with Mr. Lancier on this one. This should work well as a deterrent. And it will come in handy as a tool to de-escalate the situation. That is a good idea. Simple and effective without causing any ruckus. Makes sense, organise the military parade. Understood. That is all, Mr. President. I will keep you updated on the situation. For now, have a good night's sleep. We will need it. I couldn't sleep at all that night. Is anyone surprised? Swordish plane shot down. The Swordish plane has been shot down by Rumburgian anti-aircraft guns, allegedly for violating Rumburgian airspace. Government officials said the airplane was shot inside the airspace of Sordland. Our plane was shot down when it was flying near Halgan, over the territory of Sordland, by an anti-aircraft missile. Our pilot did not threaten Rumburg in any way, said Joseph Lancier, the Ministry of Defence. Despite the revealed evidence from Swordish officials, the Queen of Rumburg, Beatrice Livingston, had the guts to claim that our plane was shot for violating their airspace. This is a truly heinous act, purposely done by our rivals in the north. This tragic event will have severe consequences for Sordland-Rumburg relations. Reign to put a lid on alcohol consumption, the Grand National Assembly has signed the alcohol tax to deter the excessive amounts of alcohol consumption that has recently been plaguing Sordland. Drunken, disorderly youth will quickly learn that their actions have consequences, and they will soon be paying a further 20% tax on alcohol. The Assembly has signed an amendment known as the Fair Luxury Tax Act. This bold choice seeks to impose a tax hike on personal items, jewelry, coats and cars. Believing that necessary products or loving gifts are all considered luxury products is a hard reality we face under the Reign administration. Oh, shut up. Urgent meeting on potential alliances. Need some. I was sitting right across from David in the White Room, and he scheduled an urgent meeting. I knew the matter must have been serious. He insisted on waiting for Joseph and Lucian as we did. Lucian entered the room with Joseph by his side. Mr. President, we came as fast as we could. Mr. President, Mr. Whiskey. What's going on? Asked Lucian. David cleared his throat. Welcome, everyone. Due to the potential ramifications, I wanted everyone to be present for this meeting. We have received an envoy from Uncasia. They are requesting a state visit. Judging from the current climate, it's not hard to see what this is about. ATO is always trying to expand its influence after all. They'll most likely try to convince us to join. In addition, as part of this state visit, Dwight Walker will, of course, meet with you in person, Mr. President. It's about time I wanted to meet with him as well. With all due respect, are you out of your mind, Mr. Lancier? What's your tone, Joseph? I'm just saying that we cannot even consider accepting this. Joseph, you're wrong. I bet he will come to us asking for cooperation under the guise of enforcing their demands to join ATO. This will antagonize half the world against us, and we are going to be at the forefront of the battle. If you're approaching this from the perspective of national defence, then don't. We are in better shape than we have ever been. Joseph, you've been whining all throughout the presidency that you don't have enough. I assure you, we don't need any outside help, definitely not from Dwight Walker. We will make do somehow. That's not exactly confident boosting. Let me see what he wants first. I will decide when I talk to him. We need to be careful, said Joseph. Mr. Walker never gives anything up for free. There will be some concessions for sure, said Lucian. Mr. Whiskey, you are our most experienced foreign policy expert. What's your take on this? What do you think is the right action? Rumburg is bound to increase diplomatic pressure in the upcoming AN meeting. Back channels are reporting rumours about Queen Beatrice Livingston meeting with military leaders in Thornburg. I'm afraid it might not be possible to stand against Rumburg without strong allies. Absolutely true. Soon we will have to take a side in a global rivalry to avert a potential conflict with Rumburg. And I recently found out a planned meeting between the Queen and Chairman Maleniev of United Cortana. The ATO and President Walker might be necessary evil to stop worse things from happening. I say we should consider this offer very seriously. Lucian, what do you think? We heard our experts. You are the one that has to decide, sir. Very well, accept their offer. I will send our response immediately. Then there is a tiny detail we need to get over with. How should we welcome their delegation, sir? I'm not sure we're going to impress them. Military, possibly. Not a plain welcome, no. No. They know the position of power. They know the threat of Rumburg. They're not going to buy into that. I think they also know that we've got a weaker military than them. Make it as extravagant as you can. As you wish, I have taken note. I think that is all for today, said David. Thank you for attending. As we dispersed, the world map hanging on the wall in my room caught my attention. I walked over to it. How often do the lines of the world map redrawn over the recent decades? What about the future? Well, that bears some similarity in some ways to recent events in Europe, doesn't it? Although, of course, Ukraine does not seem to be joining NATO and probably wouldn't be asked to. At the same time, Finland. Yes, they're moving towards it. Sweden also. And some others. When a major nation starts trying to invade, the world tends to step up. To a degree, at least. Sometimes out of need. And we are in a position of need. Let's not lie. State visit to President Walker. The door of the car opened and flashes went off. Dwight Walker, President of Arcadia, head of ATO, came out of the car smiling, waving at the enormous crowd that gathered. It was not every day an Acadian president came to visit Sordland, after all. Both sides of the maroon carpet leading up to the palace were lined with soldiers wearing military uniforms of the Kingdom of Sordland era. They had swords, shields, spears, and some of them were on horseback. As soon as President Walker stepped off on the carpet, children appeared and showered the road with roses. He slowly started walking towards us. It was then the centuries of swordish sword dance started. Or centuries old, rather. The show took a minute at most, and President Walker watched it quietly with a stern face, nodding. Lucian approached my side and quietly whispered. Let me just check something. Is this the welcome you are liking, sir? It looks good, Lucian. Good job. Thank you. There's no point in saying anything else. Seeing that President Walker was approaching, Lucian stood back. Finally, I was in reaching distance of one of the most powerful men in the world. He looked at Monica first, bowed and kissed her hand for a second longer than I'd like. Mr. Rain, if you told me I would get to meet your lovely wife, I would have come sooner. I'm charmed, Miss Rain. Oh my, thank you, Mr. Walker. It's a pleasure to meet with you. No. The pleasure is all mine, Miss Rain, said Dwight. I hope your wife and family is well, said Monica. They are very well, Miss Rain, said Dwight Walker. Thank you. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it here today. And who do we have here? Mr. President, it is so good to finally meet with you. We shook hands. It's really good to see you, Mr. President. I'm not going to sound like a fanboy. I assure you the feeling is mutual. That's why I'm here, in fact. We started walking toward the reception hall in the palace. Our path was cleared of people at once. He was simply looking around at the extraordinary interior design of the Maroon Palace. Statues, paintings, and various ornaments filled both sides of the corridor. We passed the corridor and entered the reception hall. The crowd inside was composed of various politicians and state figures. Upon our entry, they started clapping. Dry martinis were handed to both of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you President Walker. People started clapping. Thank you, President Rain. It's really good to be here. And thank you, everyone, for the warm welcome. With another thunderous round of applause, the jazz band started playing. President Walker and I separated and started mingling with the crowd. The reception was in full swing. After some time chatting with the attendees, President Walker approached us. He bowed before my wife. Ms. Rain, can I call you Monica? She looked over at me before smiling at him. Yes, of course, if I may call you Dwight. He took her hand and they started dancing. I turned round to talk to the waiter. I was into my third martini when I heard a whistle. I turned round and saw Monica dancing very close with President Walker. All eyes in the room were on them. President Walker grabbed Monica's waist. I wish it showed how she was reacting, because I trust her completely. If she feels uncomfortable, then I'll protect her. If she feels fine with this, then I'll let it continue. But again, it's not giving me appropriate options. Finish your martini. Swirling around, Monica looked like she was having fun. Fine. Why couldn't you have told me that to begin with? They finally finished their dance after a few minutes and came over to the bar that I was leaning on. Monica, you are full of surprises, said Dwight Walker. Thank you, Mr. Walker. And Mr. Rain, you are one lucky guy. I know, and I cherish every moment of it. Monica looked at me and smiled. Ah, you love birds, said Dwight. The President and I swapped our drinks for early maroon 30-year-olds. I knew a special shot. With our drinks in hand, we went down the stairs to the basement. Gradually, the music and the sound of the party started to fade away. We arrived at a cozy little corner office, with not much inside other than a table and comfortable chairs. He took a seat and I followed suit. He pulled out 2 cigars. I'll take one. He pulled out a Repo lighter and lit my cigar before lighting his own. I heard you got into a scandal, something about the secretary. A truly unfortunate series of events. Indeed. He grinned. Relax, it's just a scandal and I'm no reporter. I just made it out alive of a bad one myself. It was a rough one too. You get used to it. A couple of people in prison, couple silenced, you know the drill. Cheers to your survival then, Mr. Rain. We clinked our glasses and took a sip. Ah, this is a really good one. Very smoky, I like it. Never had an early maroon before? He took a puff from his cigar, filling the small room with smoke. Definitely miles better than Valklandian whiskey. But I like lesbian whiskey even more. It pairs better with their cigars. You see, Mr. Rain, whiskies are a little like countries. Some are stronger, some are weaker, some are older, some are younger. Many are complex, but sometimes simple is best. I personally like stronger whiskies in general. That's why I like this one. Yes, it's definitely promising. But whatever you drink, in the end, it all boils down to your taste, and I assure you, Mr. Rain, my sense of taste is very refined. What type of whiskey do you like? Obviously, we're not talking about whiskey here. I prefer wine would be a dumb answer. I'm good with whatever is made in Sordland. Yes and no. It's very we're the best when you're talking to the leader of a more powerful nation. I don't think that's a good move. Stronger ones, well, he's already saying stronger. That just sounds like a yes man. I like complex flavours. As good as they can get tiring. He tugged at his tie, loosening it a little. You know why I'm here. I want to make you an offer. I'm listening. It's a type I can't refuse. Good. Listen closely. Times are changing and so is the balance of the world. Soon, instead of a fractured world, we will see a more united world. There is his ATO against them. I want you by our side, the winning side. I think there is much we can achieve together, and you have shown me the proof. If you accept, I would like to extend you a warm welcome to the ATO as a full member state. This, of course, comes along with a lot of privileges and responsibilities. In ATO, we protect each other. We have a mutual defense clause in the case of war. Join us, Mr. Rain, and you will have the entire backing of the ATO. Soldiers, jet fighters, warships, whatever you like. During peacetime, you will see the effects even more. Our combined production output will benefit both Sordland and the ATO. We will have free trade zone agreements, free visa access, investments, you name it. All I ask in return is mutual loyalty to one another in the Pact. The Swordish Armed Forces will be a member of the ATO military structure. All branches, be it Air, Navy, Army, will collaborate with the Alliance network. We will provide assistance and training for free. Our armies will learn how to fight together and be stronger than ever in the face of the Millennialist threat. Let's make history here tonight, what do you say? I say aye. I accept, Mr. Walker. Join ATO. We have no option with Rumburg getting out there, honestly. That's what I like to hear. We stood and shook hands. Welcome to the ATO, Mr. Rain. Welcome home. Cheers to newfound partnerships. It could also benefit the economy. It could also cause problems. We clinked our glasses and downed the remaining whiskey. Now it's starting to taste better. Let's go upstairs, Mr. Rain. We have much to discuss. But more importantly, we need to celebrate. Besides, I have a few more dance moves to show off. And I'm sure my wife will enjoy spending some time with you. Administration announced Sordland's ATO membership. President Rain has announced that Sordland will take the next steps to join ATO. The transition period will have no effect on the citizens during the earlier days. However, gradually, our economy and society will begin to be integrated. Militarily, ATO will now have substantial power over the decision-making of Swordish Armed Forces, which justifiably was not and will not be welcomed by many officials from the army. Tough shit. It's not like you were able to stand up to anything, and it's not like we had the money to ensure that you could. Sordland joins ATO. President Walker's Sordland visit bore fruit as President Rain has announced that Sordland will be joining the ranks of the ATO. The historic moment has been welcomed warmly by the member states of ATO, as they congratulated Sordland. President Rain's lesbian counterpart, Prime Minister Alvarez, has called Sordland's joining of the ATO the best thing to happen in Eastern Carpe in the last century. Over the span of the next couple of years, Sordland will economically, militarily, and diplomatically integrate with the rest of the Pact. Although the membership comes with a myriad responsibilities, the changes will improve Sordland as a whole, in almost every aspect. On the other side of the world, the leader of CSP, Chairman Meleniev, called Sordland's ATO membership a threat to the stability of the world, while Chancellor Hegel refrained from making comments. Hopefully that membership alone will help persuade Rumburg not to be stupid. Late night at the Rain household, residence of President of Sordland, Hallsword. After weeks of late nights, Monica, Ciara, and the Women's Rights Commission had succeeded in getting their bill through the Assembly. Good. The result wasn't as comprehensive as they'd hoped for, but it was a good start. I was looking forward to celebrating with my wife. It had been hours since I'd gotten home and she still wasn't there. I was dozing on the couch after yet another frozen TV dinner. No problem. When I heard the key turn in the lock, Monica stumbled into the hall. "Honey, I'm home." Kiss her. I'm not going to get stupid about what time it is. She's working hard. Her breath smelled like gin and celebrating hard. I was just having a few drinks with Ciara. I'm actually amazed any version of our bill passed, given how stacked the Assembly was against us. But of course she wants to keep pushing for more. She hiccuped. So you decided to get... You could have invited me to the celebrations. The second was judgmental. I'm not going to do that. Or you would have found it boring, and somebody had to look after Diana. I like the first one, but I'm not going to say it. I believe you're turning into a politician, Mrs. Rain. Get used to it, baby. I'm not going to stop until we get what we are asking for. True equality for all women in Sordland. Seriously, Anton, this is what I want to do. I've never felt so alive. I'm not sure what he's planning to do with that. It could be good, it could be bad. Okay. I pulled into a hug and she wrapped her arms around me tightly. No, all we have to do is make sure you stay in office. And that's where the real politics... Not real... No, that sounds insulting. With you by my side, how can I lose? Monica smiled, took my hand and wordlessly led me upstairs to the bedroom. Indeed. And we have reports from all over the place, apparently, or from several places. Let's start with the news. The Whole Sword Post. Sordland's largest military parade ever. President Rain has announced Sordland's largest military parade ever to display strength of Swordish armed forces to the world. During the glorious day, tanks will roll, jets will fly, and our soldiers will march, young and old. Swordish citizens will come together to once again cheer for our soldiers. The parade will send a clear message to our enemies. Beware. President Rain will be joining the parade with a motorcade on a drive through Victory Avenue. Armed groups declare war against the state. After government's response to the protests, certain groups within the protesters released a joint statement declaring Anton Rain's presidency to be over. The groups called every protester and citizen to join what they call a march for freedom. While being no match for the honourable Swordish security personnel, it is disgusting that such armed groups can infiltrate protesters and ignite bloody conflicts. The sad reality is especially pronounced by the fact that a lot of peaceful protesters have started to be swayed by the militants, partake in riots vandalising government properties. Swordish police forces are already standing ready to protect their brothers and sisters, and will surely bring the situation under control. Workers' Party leader poisoned. Oh dear. The leader of the Workers' Party of Bludia is rumoured to have been poisoned by a nerve agent on his way from Dyer to Sana. The attack came after his speech in Dyer, where Egil promised to clean Swordish politics from Solism. According to our sources, he was taken to a local hospital in Sana, where he lies in a coma. Officials from the police said that the investigations are underway to find the attackers. Deadly ambush in Jen. There have been at least 9 different attacks on police forces by various armed groups since Monday, the last of which occurred in Jen's Maroon Avenue. 8 militants disguised as construction workers entered the construction zone near the avenue and ambushed 2 police vehicles. The attackers were immediately killed, but 6 policemen were killed in the ambush. Nationalist attempt to assassinate Egil. Peter Egil was poisoned on his way to Sana to deliver a campaign speech yesterday. According to reports, he is hospitalised in critical condition. The attack is suspected to come from a nationalist organisation which had most likely targeted Egil due to the massive increase in the votes of the Workers' Party of Bludia. This sick attack on Egil's life is a continuation of a deep-rooted fascism in Swordish political life. Previously it was Circus, now it's Egil. Next, it will be all of us if we allow this to continue. Workers' Party of Bludia record membership number. According to the numbers released by the Workers' Party of Bludia, there is a massive increase in their membership, breaking a new record for the party. The polls also show the popularity of their party has reached new heights in Bergia, and is expected to finish the first or the second in the region in Bergia. Peter Egil said in a public statement, the Workers' Party of Bludia is leading a great journey on to the Maroon Palace, finally bring about the People's Revolution. Those who are at the top may continue ignoring us, but the people will respond to them in the polls. Sordland creates peace line to avert war. Following Rumburg's demands for reparations from Sordland, the tensions have increased dramatically between the two countries. Yesterday, a Swordish warplane has been shot down by Rumburg anti-air systems, and all the pilots involved have been killed. As per the information from Rumburg, Swordish warplanes has trespassed into Rumburgian airspace, whereas Swordish military reports that the plane was inside Swordish borders when it was shot. The international community is unclear of the certainty of the reports from both sides. Thankfully, Swordish administration approached the incident calmly and established a peace line to avert war between the two countries. President Rain has been commended internationally for his efforts to de-escalate the situation. Maintain peace. Let's look around at the different reports we have. Valsland increases naval presence in Grey Strait. It is being reported that Valslandian Navy has increased its presence along our shores, particularly at the Grey Strait. The already massive fleet patrolling the Markian Sea is now accompanied by a second one. According to our intelligence, Valslandians are also installing defence systems with offensive capabilities on their southern shores. This poses a great danger for Holsord and the whole country. One-on-one interview with Kirut. Lucian Gallard organised an interview for the presidency on the internationally renowned one-on-one. The famous journalist Thomas Slacker will be the one asking the questions. The crew of one-on-one and Thomas Slacker will arrive next week in Lockhaven from Kirut. Then we have Valslandian Navy spotted in full force in Helgeland. According to the intelligence reports, Valslandian Navy gathered in full force around Helgeland, blockading the island. The reports warn about a possible violent conflict between Agnolian and Valslandian forces. Swordish Navy in Conriati is on standby. Country stability decreased. Ministry of Interior's report that Sordland is suffering from low stability due to the amount of active crisis the country is currently facing. Different elements of government and structures of order are operating past their operational limits. This situation adversely affects economic growth. Of course it does. And we'll come back next time for the election speech. How are we doing in number 9? We've done quite a bit. Alright, and with that, I will end for now. I've been Yorkie the Talespinner. You've been a fine audience, and this has been Anton Rain's presidency of Sordland in Suzerain. Fare thee well.